Afternoon all. Time for a little Q&A session. The first set of questions come courtesy of Tanya Bartram. Cheers for these, T. I had to write them down because you had so many. But here we go. How do I decide, or how do you decide how much to eat? So what I tend to do if I'm trying to lose weight, I will track calories for probably for 2 weeks. And I'll track body weight alongside that. So say if week one, on average I eat 2,500 calories a day, same for week 2, and the weight doesn't do anything, then I know that if I knock that down to say 2,003, then hopefully weight loss will start. But yeah, basically I track calories for a couple of weeks and take an average to see where I'm at before I decide where to set them. But that's obviously goal dependent. If you're trying to gain weight, then you'd increase. Next one. Is there any truth to cycling carbs and protein, and does that help shock the body? It doesn't help shock the body. Is there any truth to it? So I don't think I'd cycle protein. I don't know what the benefit would be from that. Cycling carbs, there's some rationale there if you've got heavier training days, or if you're trying to save some sort of excess carbs for refeed days, or just for the weekend, just more from like a psychological point of view. The only time you might sort of cycle protein, I suppose, is if you're cycling calories. So if you're having like higher calorie, lower calorie days, then by default you'd sort of probably reduce all 3 macronutrients on an even split, maybe. But no, in terms of shocking the body, should you avoid fats, and what are good fats? So should you avoid fats? Absolutely not. If you removed all fats from the diet, you would die, which is not where you want to be ideally. In terms of good fats, there's loads. Fish oil, so fatty fish is a really good source. Flaxseed, avocado, olive oil, coconut oil, nuts, peanut butter, all good sources. Olive oil. In terms of, I wouldn't use the word avoid. There might be a case for reducing fat if you're going to diet, and if you're eating an excessive amount, or you're having fat, large helpings. Like peanut butter, for example, really easy to overdo. So reducing that if you're trying to diet might be a good idea. But yeah, definitely don't avoid them though. And the last question comes from Alan, which is, who would win in a fight between a hippo or a rhino? I've given this one some thought, and I think largely it comes down to where they fight. So in water, hippo all day long. On land, if the rhino can get a bit of a run up, smashes into it, then that's like the equivalent of a knockout punch. So to answer this question, I'm going to say you put them both in a ring, and I think you've got to go for the hippo. Rhino won't have space to get up a charge, and I mean, hippos are notoriously hungry at the best of times. So yes, Alan, hippo. That concludes today's Q&A. Stay tuned for more. Cheers.